Well, welcome everyone to the Office of Business Diversity and Compliance. We're glad to have you once again for our webinars. We've got a good one lined up for you today on networking. I know many of you are trying to get your businesses back together and trying to figure things out as we kind of begin to open back up from this COVID-19 crisis. And one of the best tools that you can use to do that is begin to rebuild your networking opportunities once again. And so we have Jana Cardona this morning from BNI International, who's an expert in this field. And again, we're happy to have you from the City of Memphis Office of Business Diversity and Compliance, and glad that you could join us this morning. Just so that you know, a couple of housekeeping tips before we begin to get started. If you do have any questions, there is a chat box that you can type your questions in as we go along, and we'll get them answered. We'll open this up for discussion and questions and answers at the end after Jana has her presentation. And so if you have any questions along the way, feel free to type them in the chat box, and we'll get them answered one way or another. We also, again, want to tell you that even though we're not in the office yet per se, we are still offering our services to you. Our business navigators are still standing by to answer your questions. If you have any other additional questions about resources, grants and loans that are going around and available to small business owners, we're still available to help you. And the number to call is 636-9300, 636-9300, and we'll again be happy to help you along the way to get your questions answered, and anything that we can do to help you get your business back on track. Of course, we're available to do that as well. This webinar is being recorded, and so you'll have the opportunity to see the replay. We'll send that out after we're finished and get it edited. We'll send it back out to you, so you'll have this to refer back to as you're building your network. I want to go ahead and introduce Jana. Again, Jana Cardona is Executive Director of BNI International for the Memphis area. She is an expert in networking, and we are glad to welcome her back to our OBDC platform to again help you as you're trying to get things together and get your business back on track. So Jana, welcome to the webinar. How are you this morning?
I am good, thank you. All right, everyone, I can't see you, but I hope you're out there, and I'm used to interacting with an audience, so this will be an interesting experience for me. So hopefully you're all doing well. But my 22 years of experience in networking has done all kinds of things for me. It's given me lots of opportunities to be able to share information. So I'd love to share some with you today about a different time in networking. It's a totally different time than we're typically used to. And so the title of this is Networking Now, Finding Opportunities and Planning for Recovery, which we all know we're going to recover. We just don't exactly know when. So just a little bit about my background. I have 25 chapters I oversee, and nearly 500 members, but BNI is an organization of over 9,500 chapters. And we literally had to put all of our on a platform within a week. And we actually put them all on a Zoom platform, each individual chapter, so over 9,500 chapters. Within a week, we had to train them and get them on Zoom. So now they're having all their meetings on Zoom, and they're doing their networking on Zoom. So this has been an interesting time for everyone, including us. I want to start out by just asking you why, and I get my slides to work here if I can do that. Okay, why are referrals so important for us? Why do we want them? Why do we use them? And typically people will answer me. You can put it in the chat bar if you want to respond to me. That's great. And I know that Taylor will be monitoring that. And if you have questions, go ahead and put them in there too. But typically people will say things like, well, they're better than cold calling. I don't like cold calling. Referrals are great. Referrals give me the opportunity to get to know people who are from somebody else's network, and I have a little bit of validation. We definitely know referrals are the best, and we network because we want referrals. We want new business, and that's all about that. So that is the important thing about the why behind it. And I'm trying to, this slide deck is just not cooperating real well. It did before, now won't. All right, so referrals are ideal. And I picked this slide because it's almost like magic hands. This guy has this force coming out of his hands, and referrals are the best. However, sometimes we think of referrals as something a little different than what we would prefer. A lot of people will tend to hand out a card at a networking event and go, oh, call this guy. He would be great. I bet he would love your product. So boom, you have this card and you call this person, and they're really not expecting your call. You don't even know if they're really interested in your product. So in our opinion, as far as our BNI opinion, we don't like that kind. We call that more of a lead. So what we will do, though, is we will ask for a good referral. And a good referral is typically one where I might be talking to somebody and I find out, gee whiz, they really have a need. So I explore that need a little bit, making sure they really are ready to do something. Because we all know we want things, we wish we had things, we say, oh yeah, I need to do that. But it may not be when or how. We haven't decided that yet. So if somebody approaches you, you're not ready yet. We don't want that. That's not truly a referral. So what we want is we want something that's actually going to be explored a little bit. And I tell people, we ask, we find out, are you really serious? Is this something that you really want? And they go, oh yeah, I really need this. I want this right now. So what we do is we say, tell them about you. And we transfer the trust they have in me over to what I say about you. And it's not just that you're a nice person. We have to say more. We have to know a little bit more. We have to be able to translate over why they would want you as opposed to other people. And then if they say, hey, that would be great, I would love to be connected with them, then we hook the two of you together. That's the connection. That's real networking. And that's a really super good referral. And I'm sure if I could look at you and talk to you, all of you would say, yeah, I like that a lot better. So we like referrals. I put it down to 3 E's. Number one, it's because they are efficient. They get things done faster. If we can cut through the quote unquote sale and pushiness and just find out if somebody really wants you and then they're referred, boom, it's efficient. It's also extremely effective. You don't have to do as much selling. It's very much I want this, your person told me you were really good, and it's much, much easier to close that sale when you have that. And more importantly, it's enjoyable. It's much easier, it's much more fun. We like it better because we are actually getting that business and it's much easier to close. This all leads to success. And the success for you is the fact that you now have business. And for success, for some people, success can be a multitude of things. Your business grows. Success could be, I'm making money so my children can go to a good school. I'm making money so I can retire. I want to give more donations to my church. Whatever it happens to be, college funds for your kids, everyone has a definition of success. So we are wanting to network and we are wanting to find more business and be successful at it. So first of all, I'm going to cover a few little shaky ground, I call it. Sometimes people call it myths. I call it shaky ground that we believe to be true, but they aren't quite as true as we feel they should be. So let me bring it up if I can get my slide to work. There we go. Number one, know, like, and trust. How many of you feel that if someone knows you, likes you, trusts you, they'll refer you, right? Since I can't see you, I'll just assume, yeah, that's right. Most people say, hey, yeah, that's really true. So these people that you really know, you really like, you really trust, they will refer you, right? So how many of you get a steady stream of referrals from your mom? How about your dad, right? Or maybe your best friend, right? All right. Not really, right? We are not really getting that from our family members. Why? They know you, they like you, they trust you, but why aren't they referring on a continual basis to you? A lot of it is because it's a different relationship. You're a family member, you're a son, you're a daughter. They think of you in a little different way, and we're going to go into that in a little while. They just don't see you in the same way that a business owner who might refer business back and forth to each other, they don't see you that same way. Also, another myth, if you want to label it that, would be if you do a good job, people are going to refer you. True or false, right? So if you do a good job and we want you to get referrals and you think, oh yeah, I'm going to get referrals from this, and this is such a stubborn platform, I can't get anything. Here we go. You do a great job, right? Great job. However, let me just say I might have, I'm going to pick some names on the screen. I don't know what you look like, but I'll say, okay, so Sean, I see a Sean there. So Sean is talking to Taylor, and Taylor just had his house painted by Tim, okay? And Sean is saying, oh man, I've been home this whole time working in my office. I'm beginning to realize my house needs painted. And and Taylor says, hey, do you have a painter that you're going to use? And Sean goes, no, I don't have anybody. I don't know anybody. And Taylor said, you know what? I just had my house painted. I've got a really great painter. Would you like me to hook you two up? Oh, that'd be awesome. Awesome. So Sean calls Tim and says, hey, Taylor told me you were a really good painter. I need my house painted. Can you give me a quote? So Tim thinks, woohoo, I did a good job for Taylor. I got this referral because I did a good job. Is that really true? Not really if you think it through, because Sean happened to call Taylor. What if Sean called Joanne? All right, and Joanne didn't have her house painted, doesn't need painting, or she doesn't know a painter. And Sean goes, gee, I need to find a painter. And John goes, yeah, I don't know anybody, I'm sorry, then guess what? Didn't get that referral. It's not because you do a good job. It's because of some other things that happen that really have nothing to do with that good job. Now, if I can get this to move, and I'm not sure why it's so stubborn, it worked great, and now it's not moving anywhere. So let me see. Okay. You need to know the rules, and there are some really, really important rules that apply to networking, whether it's in person, when we do get back in person, or right now, especially the way we are right now, we can still do these. Number one is we have to build a network. Now, part of the problem was that some of us did a lot of networking before. You went to different organizations, you might have gone to the chamber and other association meetings, lunches, you may have gone to mixers, all kinds of things. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist right now. We cannot, and we have to kind of shout 6 feet apart, right? So you can't go to a networking event and stand 6 feet apart. They're not even open right now. But you need to think through right now, who do I need in my network? And those would be people that you need to have business back and forth. And part of that needs to be business that is what we call reciprocal. In other words, you give to people, they give to you, and it's a give and take. It's reciprocal. If that's why your family, a lot of times your family will not think of you because they might not be business owners. They're your mom, they're your dad, they may be retired, they may just be somewhere else. They're not really thinking of you in a business sense unless you're lucky enough that they have that relationship where they need or use you as a service and tell other people about you. But when you're out networking and when you're building relationships right now, it can't be just about you. It has to be about how can you give and take to with other people. And that's the part that's really important for you to think about. Now, the other thing is right now, you cannot call people and say, and try to push them into buying from you. This environment right now, with everyone being very vulnerable, this is the best thing you can do. How can I help you? Even if you desperately would love to have their business, you can't just push yourself on them. No way. It's just not going to work for you. Right now, the very, very best thing you need to be doing is developing relationships. I always teach anyway, whenever I teach a networking course, that it's not about passing out cards. It's not about any of that. It's about how you build those relationships and how strong they are. So how can I help is really important. When you do all that, you're actually compounding your opportunity to get referrals. That is huge for you. Now, you have the relationships that you're starting to build. Now you've got to make them deeper. You've got to really, really work on getting to know people better and not just know what they do, but we'll get into a little bit about knowing who they need, how those people talk when they need you. There's language that they use. I'll give you an example. If you were a roofer and you walked into some kind of networking organization, or you were in one of my organizations where every week they talk about who they need and what they're looking for, and then other people refer business to them. Well, if a roofer came in my groups and said, man, we had such a bad storm last night, and I'm looking for people who lost shingles on their roof, okay? We know what he does. He's a roofer. So if I'm sitting on maybe a bleacher somewhere watching one of my grandchildren play a sport, if I'm in that group, I'm waiting for someone to go, gee, I lost some shingles off my roof. I need a roofer. Now, how likely are people going to be to talk like that? Not very much, really. They don't just say those kind of things. However, they might say this, oh, I'm so tired today. I had to get up and put a bucket in my son Johnny's room, and then he couldn't go back to sleep, and he kept me awake. See, we talk like that, right? That roofer needs to teach me how to listen for that. I call it street language. I call it for the language people say when they're frustrated or when they're annoyed or when they're worried or when they're happy and they're excited about something. It's all emotions that they express, but they say something that indicates they need you. That's what those business relationships, they want to know you, like you, trust you. That's part of it. But they have to know more. They have to know about you. And that's why it's really important for you to teach them. You have to teach specifics, not generalities, not things of oh, gee, I can use anybody who has whatever. That's too general. We just can't fine tune. We can't think that. Now I have this game that I usually play, and I have people tell me, but I'm just going to set the stage since we're not talking back and forth, that if you've been, and remember your childhood, you were at a party and someone dumped out a bag of goodies, so all kinds of things, or a box of goodies, whatever it was, and they laid it all on the table and they said, okay, who has the best memory in here? I want you to look at this and pick out as many things as you can. Remember them now, because whoever gets the most wins the prize, right? We've all kind of played that game somewhere along in our life. Now, I can't do that because I can't dump things out for you to look at, but I can show you a picture. And what I want you to think about with this picture is you look, and I'm going to tell you a color to look for in the picture. I want you to think of as many things with that color and any shade of that color. And you can write it. You can most of the time you're not allowed to write, but we'll allow you to write. Write down as many things as you see that are a shade of blue. And then I'm going to take the picture away and we're going to discuss how much of that you remember. So here we go. Does it remind you maybe of your kids' room at home now that they're home and not going to school, right? It's like, oh my word. How about the blue? How many things can you find that are blue? Okay, I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to just kind of log in as many blue things as you can possibly see. Okay, you ready? All right, we're going to take that off and I'm going to go back where we teach. And okay, so hopefully, I don't know, maybe you can type in the chat bar how many things you saw that were blue that you actually got time to write down and all that, if anybody wants to type in the chat. And I wish we could do this where I could find out how many of you have the really best memory in here and who's got the prize for the best memory. Now, I want you to think about those blue things because that's what you're focused on, right? And somebody tell me what was red. And normally, if you want to type in the chat, you can type something that's red, but all of a sudden you're like, don't quite remember red. I was focused on blue, right? I was focused on the blue things because that's what I was told to do, but there's red in here. There's a really obvious object in red. That's why I picked it right in the front. But so many times, because we know what you do, we look right past, and you can be standing right next to me. We can be walking down the road, and I can be focused on my color, which might be red. And I'm seeing all the things that could be potential clients for me. You're focused on the blue. And if you and I were going to refer to each other, I would have to teach you to see red, and you would have to teach me to see blue. And that's a very powerful way to think about how we really need to teach each other. Now, that means a lot when we go into this next part. You have to be consistent in your networking, whether it's now or whether when we get out and we go back to the way we used to do many things where we're in person. But even now, you can't just sort of sit and think, oh, I'll get around to it, or I'll do it after, you know, this dies down a little bit. And when we go into networking events, a lot of times people try to sell you. They're always pushing for the sale. And we don't like that, right? We don't like being sold to. And so this kind of person repels people. That's why I'm telling you, don't try to sell now, because we're even more vulnerable now. Before we were busy and we were, you know, we had our own things going on. We don't like to be pressured, but now people are vulnerable. People are thinking things differently, and they don't need pressure and they don't need a hard sell. We don't need that. The other thing that consistency has to deal with is the fact that sometimes at networking, when we do it networking events, any kind of networking event, we sort of show up once in a while. It's sporadic. It's not continual. And that hurts you because you're not developing relationships. If you just show up and try to sell people, you're actually making a name for yourself in the other direction that people really don't want to talk to you. And if they see you coming, they're sort of going to move out of the way, right? Because they really don't want to be sold to and they don't really know you that well. Now, right now, there's a different kind of opportunity for us. It's not in-person networking. It's very different. It's very different. And we can either choose some paths that will take us on the success route, or we can fail. And we don't want to fail. None of us want to fail. None of us want to have the hard times, even that we're going through right now. Some businesses are extremely busy. Some of my environmental companies, even the pool guy. When I have a person that sells pools, he has sold more pools, I think, because people realize maybe I'm not going on vacation this year, so I'm going to use my money and my kids will at least have something to do this summer. So, you know, it's some weird things that are getting a lot of business, some expected things that are getting a lot of business. But what's really important is if you begin to think outside the box, and that way you will begin to get business. So what do you need? You need a strategy. You need to start thinking about what is it that I need to do in order to really make things move forward. The strategy is right now what we need to do. We're on pause, right? A lot of us are at home. We're working from home. So how do we create those opportunities, and how do we develop those strategies, and how can we line up things to take advantage of from here forward? No matter what, a lot of people are predicting things aren't going to be anywhere near what they used to be. We don't know. We have no idea. But one of the things we don't want to do is sit on the couch. This is not your strategy, guys. This is definitely not something you want to do. But some people have said this. I don't have any clients. I'm not getting any business, so I'm just going to chill and do Netflix, right? It's not your strategy. We definitely want to get off the couch because we are going to go through a recovery period. And we will come out of this, but how we come out depends on what we do while we're here. If we sit on that couch and do Netflix, we aren't going to come out very well. Our recovery is going to be dictated by the actions that we do right now, and networking is one of them. If you want to recover, you need to be lining up things right now. You need to be building relationships. You can't do the same old, same old. Things are different. And what you might have done before, you will have to alter. You will have to change your thinking. And you will also not be chasing dollars all the time. People do not want to just be chased and sold to. And that is definitely not a strategy. You shouldn't use it anyway. Even if we were in normal situations, it's a very bad strategy to use. So what I recommend is you put away your hunting rifle, put away that gun that you go out and kind of shoot the target and find and bag your game. You don't want to do that. You want to start planting seeds right now. You want to look for opportunities, plant those seeds, build those relationships, and begin to do what people do who want a crop. They water it, they nurture it, they take the weeds away from it, they do a little fertilizer on it. All of those things are part of what you call building your relationships up. You want to do that, and you want to pick the right people, which I'll explain in a minute. How do you pick right people? If you do it the right way, you're going to get this abundance, absolute abundance of good potentials so that you can do business with people. That's exactly what we're after, but we just have to do it the right way. So some tips right now. One of the biggest challenges people have had before we went into this crisis was everybody was crazy busy, and when you would talk to people, they were just so busy that they didn't have time to sit down and work on their business. They were working in it. And when they're in it all the time, they're just frantic. They're not really thinking about working on it. So now is the time to work on your business. So I'm going to suggest a couple things to you as I give you some tips. Is first of all, sit down and think about your particular business. Think about the types of clients that you have now and that you want to have. Are they the same, or would you like to shift a little bit? Think about the types of people who refer you. Are you more what's called transactional, meaning you just look for the referral and you do the job, and then you personally have to go find another person and then do another job? Or are you more strategic than that? And this is what you should be doing. Look at the clients that you want. Write them down and put the situations that they get into. I was just on a call with another one of my chapters, and I was doing a training for them on something different that we do. And I was working with a roofer, and he was saying that he likes working with people who are getting ready to retire. because they're looking at really making sure they have more care about their home, they care about it, where young people, they tend to run until the roof needs repaired, that kind of thing. But more like the 40, 50, 60 age. So I'm listening to him talk, and I said to him, Ian, have you ever thought about talking to financial advisors about people getting ready to retire? Because those people that are financial advisors are telling their clients, take care of some of your big projects now. Take care of that roof, take care of that air conditioning and the water system and all that. Because when you retire, especially if your income is more fixed, you don't have money for those roof repairs and those air conditioners. So they're telling them to plan ahead, which would then be, if you can groom and teach a financial advisor and you become really close friends, they can refer. For instance, if you need a new roof, I've got a great guy and he can do it. And you become a resource for your clients. That is something very, very important for you. And we'll cover a little bit more of that. So analyze your strategy, analyze who you need to meet, analyze this too. How can I help? That's a big, big question to answer, and write it down so that when you begin calling people, which is the next strategy, in this opportunities section, you have a lot of opportunities. One of them is calling clients. Call your clients. You probably already have done that. Making sure, number one, they're okay. Are they well? How's their family? How's their business? Don't try to sell, just care. Let them know you care. But all the while that you are analyzing your clients and analyzing all the customers that you have, if they come up with something and you can say this, you know, I have other connections, Susie, that if you need somebody, I have a network of people, if you do, I have a network of people that I love to help my clients with. So if you need something, can you give me a call? Now she knows you have some other people over here that you network with or that you associate with. That plants a seed in your client's mind. You're their resource. And that's a huge thing. You don't just do what you do, but you are a resource for other people. That's a huge, huge opportunity. So while you're talking to them, mention that. Mention that you like helping and that you have connections. You can also, if you've collected a lot of business cards and you remember where you got them, in other words, you didn't just put them in a big old stack and throw them in a drawer and then you have no clue who these people are or where you got them. But for a while I was trying to be really organized and I had a notebook, and then if I go to the chamber, I'd put all the cards that I got from the chamber. If I go to some other association, I'd put those cards in, and then I would flip and know exactly where I met those people and maybe a little note about them. If you do that, I can't say I'm always that organized, but that's what I've tried to do so that I can look back and go, you know, I met that person at that networking event over there and I think I have their card. Then I can go and look it up. Also, you call the friends that you have, any associates that you have, so that you make sure you're always asking for help. I had to throw this next slide in because as I was looking, I saw this guy with a telephone booth on his head. It reminded me of, you know, now we have to wear masks and we have to cover up, and they were talking about people wearing like a plexiglass helmet. In my chapters, we're even saying, you know, if we're back together again and we're sitting, we need to put plexiglass between us, right? So when I saw that, I thought, oh, I've got to put that picture in. But we're also on platforms like Zoom and webinars, GoToMeeting, all of these different things. We're using that as a tool, huge tool now. But no matter what you're doing and you're reaching out and touching people through different methods, it's always the same thing. How can I help? But when you're analyzing your network, this is one of the most important things you can think about. You've got people on your platform right now. So you see the picture and they're kind of standing on a platform. You've got those people in your wheelhouse. You've got those people maybe that you're connected to. And one of the things that you need to do now is analyze and see who you are missing. And what I mean by that is who's missing that could refer business to you on a regular basis. If you are, say you are you inspect homes, but you don't inspect them, you actually do the crawl space underneath. Maybe they have mold or whatever, so you do a crawl space underneath. The people, you could go and ask people, hey, if you smell a moldy house, let me know, right? But how many people smell moldy houses on a regular basis? However, think about this. Who sees or smells that mold on a regular basis? And those people, if I was one of those people that did crawl spaces, I would be wanting to build relationships with, say, maybe the home inspector. The real estate agent can't sell a house that has mold. Maybe an insurance person, because they have claims a lot of times where burst pipes, things like that, they're in there. Those are the people you want to build that relationship with, and you want to get to know them, build that relationships, teach them how to refer business to you, make it reciprocal so it's back and forth, because people like doing business with somebody who's going to reciprocate. And analyze now while you have the time. Also, you have people that you've tried to reach, but they were always so busy they couldn't talk to you, way too busy to do that, or you got their voicemail a lot. Think about who might know them and reach out and say, how can I help you? And maybe you can help me by, do you know this person? People use LinkedIn a lot for that. And other organizations, my people ask each other, but they also use LinkedIn. Find out who you need to meet and develop those relationships right now, because we're all in the same boat. We're all dealing with the same issues. It's the first time in years and years and years that we're all in the same boat kind of thing, where we're all at home, we're having to wear a mask if we go out, people are out of work, lots and lots of similarities that we have that we can share and almost feel like we know each other by part of that. So this is a very important, it's critical right now that you analyze your network and see who it is you're missing and what kind of clients you're missing too. You want to make sure you teach that network, back to this amazingly messy slide here, to teach that network how to refer you, because there will come a time, right now we're kind of behind the line, right? And we're ready to go, we want to get out, but we're not quite able to yet, so we're being held back. So instead of just kind of being on a pause, do some of the things I talked about with building the network, thinking about your business, picking out these people, starting to build relationships, because when you do that, these referral partners are going to be able to refer business to you. And the best part of it is, when you're finally let go from that line and you're able to run, if you have run, you can run to the people you started building a relationship with, and they will want to talk to you because you've taken the time. However, if you wait and you try to catch up with them later, they are also running, but they're running for business. They're running for their own clients. They're running to build again and to rebuild. You're not going to catch them as well. But if you start building the relationship right now, you have such a better chance of connecting and getting more business. And also, part of that, when you're talking to people, think outside the box, because some of you might have to change the way you do business. Maybe this worked, but now you've got to alter it. And sometimes when we're so close to it, we can't see that. But talking it out with other people, they go, you might try this. And we go, wow, I never thought of that. These are all times we can right now get a head start on it. So when we're out of this, we're going to be moving forward and we're going to come out much better on the other end. There's my information. Down at the bottom, if you would like to ask me any other questions, I know that they're going to open it up, I think, the line. So if you have any other questions, let me know. I'd be glad to answer them. And I don't know if Taylor can take you off mute. I think he can. But I'll be here to answer questions. So I wanted to keep it so that I can give you just a few points.
Yeah, thanks, Jana. And I think people do have the ability to unmute themselves and ask a question. But I will go ahead and ask you a question because I've got something present on my mind, and I know probably some of our other business owners do as well. You talked about kind of being in the same boat. You know, we're all kind of in the same boat at this time, not able to really go out and interact with each other, but we do have these tools, I guess online tools, and ability to talk online. And so do you have any other simple suggestions about how we can begin utilizing these similarities more to our advantage now as we're kind of in the same boat, but able to expand? I know, is there things that you can think of that would maybe assist us in taking some of these similarities and using them to our advantage?
I think one of the things that I've used is when you're calling people and you're just going, how's business, Taylor? And how's it affecting you? And what's this? And I'm asking you a lot of questions. I'm getting a feel for what ways that maybe I can help you. And you're telling me some things that are maybe affecting your business. And if I start helping you by kind of listening to you, number one, it's getting you to talk, and you're getting to think of things yourself. Because sometimes when we talk things out, we do better. And then I might offer you a suggestion here or a suggestion there. And you go, you know, I haven't even asked you what you do or how it's affecting you. And then you can actually be able to go back and forth without pushing, but being able to plant seeds in their head. And you've listened to them enough. I always say, let them talk first, right? And you hear a lot, you ask a lot of questions. Don't try to tell them everything about you, but just listen, especially if you've made your plan ahead and you know exactly what kind of clients you want and that you need. If you say something to me that triggers a thought in my head that I'm going to go, wow, we could work together. I'm going to work that background in a very gentle way to give you some suggestions and then go, yeah, I do some of that or whatever, and just real casual. And that plants the seed for me. But because I've let you talk and because I've given you suggestions, you're much more likely to talk to me and build a better relationship. Does that answer the question, or do you have a little further?
Yeah, that does. That helps out. Thank you for that. And again, if anyone wants to unmute themselves and talk with Jan or ask a question, you feel free to go ahead. Unmute button should be down on the bottom left. Or if you want to type it in the chat, feel free to type question in the chat.
I'm a very interactive trainer, and so I'm like, oh, nobody's talking. I like audiences to chat back at me. It's kind of fun. It's a quiet group today. All right.
Well, this is a little bit different environment, yeah.
Right, it sure is.
Hi, Jana. This is Janice Banks.
Hi, Jana.
I'd like to say that this was really informative, and I did take many notes for a strategy in moving forward, and I really appreciate that. And some of the things I knew, was already aware of, but the framework, the way in which you framed them, helped me to have a different perspective on it as well, and how to incorporate it into my everyday interactions with folks, because there are people that we're partnering with in terms on proposals, that this is very helpful, very useful too, because we don't want to always make this a transactional type of communication, but as you said, call or come around when I don't want anything. You know.
Right. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, is don't be so pushy and transactional that we turn people off. Yeah.
Exactly. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? So we're gonna hear you all out there networking, and except online, but phone calls, whatever.
Well, Jan, I do have another question. I'll go ahead and ask as people are kind of thinking about what they'd like to ask. I think your big question here is, instead of being so pushy, the question is, how can I help someone else? And that's really kind of a way of saying, how can I serve you?
Right.
And asking them for the not even direct answer, but indirect answer. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Even if we weren't on this platform, and even if we weren't in this situation right now, that's what I teach 100% of the time anyway, is when you know what you do, and you know, if you know what you want. Some people, they go out and they're just networking because they just hope they'll run into the right person. So what I teach is back them up and say, make your plan first, go out and talk to people. So when you're talking, you already have in your head what it is you can do for people, how you can help people, how they can help you, who are your ideal clients, because not everybody's an ideal client. You don't want certain people, and a lot of us have clients we wish we didn't have or could, fire or whatever. And I always get a, yeah, I've got that. So when you go and you are prepared, when I'm talking to you, and I teach to just do all the listening and don't make it anything about you, because the more I can know about you, two things happen. Number one, you like me because I let you talk. But number two, I'm seeing whether or not I can help you and whether we could develop some kind of a relationship. And if I identify that, I might be able to say, after I've analyzed everything and kept drawing you out, and a lot of times people will go, gee whiz, you made me think of something I didn't even think about as we're talking, which is really good. You like thumbs up on that. But I can say to you later, Taylor, all the things that we talked about, it makes me think that I might be able to find some other people for you, maybe connect in other ways, or maybe even help you myself. Would you be open to meeting again, or meeting for coffee, or meeting, whatever way you do it? You're always going to say yes to me, because I've never pushed you. I've never made any attempt to make you think I'm trying to sell to you. And I'm really still trying to analyze whether we would be good contacts, and I feel like we are. So I can go out, and then you and I can talk separately, like over coffee or something. And now I develop more about knowledge about you. But then you start saying, you know what, Jana, I don't know much about you. Tell me a little bit about this. And I don't gush, and just because you gave me permission, I'm still really guarded, because the biggest thing in my head, the big word above, is relationships. Got to develop a relationship, because it's a long-term thing. If I think we're going to work together, I want it to be long-term. I don't want it to be short. And I want it to be as maximized as possible. So the more questions you can ask, the more that I can find out about you, and the less I talk on the front end, the more I think we can help each other, because I'll know exactly what I need. I know now what you need, and I can put that together. And then you'll come along too. You'll start seeing things that you haven't even told me. And we can really make a synergistic relationship. But it takes time. It can't happen overnight. That's the hard part for most people to kind of grab. They don't like patience.
Right. And I think, that may be, one of the questions our business owners are asking too, is that they, maybe feel at this point, well, I was behind before, and now I'm really behind, right, since this situation has come. So how do I get back quickly as possible? And you're suggesting, a little bit more even-keeled, patient approach, which does obviously work out over time. But
it's really important, because we can sense if you're trying to sell us. We're sensing if you're pushy, and it's almost like a pendulum. And I have take a sales class, so they teach us that if you're this pendulum and you're like trying to pull me along, I'm going to go the reverse. I'm going to go, it's a swing back and forth. But if I get behind you, you're going to move toward what I want. So always stay behind people. Always don't push. Just don't push. There's no one you don't like being pushed. No one likes being pushed. So realize that just because you think you have the best product in the world and you could really help this person, might not be that they think that or see that. And they have got to know you first, and they've got to like you first before they'll go with your product or service. So the relationship is like this big neon sign that keeps going up to go, patience, patience, build, right?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, this is the time to build or rebuild, even in a different direction.
It's hard
so
when
again,
you're hurting, though. It's really, you just get a little desperate, but you've just got to chill out a little bit and realize it'll come out if you do it the right way. If you don't do it the right way, they'll keep running away from you, right?
Yeah, and again, if anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask Jana a question, feel free to do that. Type in the chat box. We do have a few more minutes. We've got about 5 more minutes, so we still have time to talk with folks and let us know what's going on, what's on your mind. But any other kind of last tips that you want to leave us with, as far as our networking and things we can do to really begin to build, even if it's from the ground up again, because I know some of us are probably starting from at zero or near zero again.
Right. I don't know. I don't know what a lot of other organizations are doing. I think some are just coming on platforms, but if you would like to just visit a BNI chapter, I've got the information up there. Just feel free to visit. Nobody's going to press you to do anything. We are on Zoom. All of our chapters are on Zoom, so you have to register first. But just go meet people. You'll always be allowed to say what you do. You have about anywhere, depends on the size of the chapter, 45 to 60 seconds to let people know. So it's a way to get out there. And it's a way too to just look and see, who do I need to connect with? And maybe some of those people in there might be people that you need to connect with that would help you build your business, help you be a referral partner for you. We have 25 chapters, so you can visit and get on. They're all online. They're not driving anywhere, and they're all on our website. So I can invite people just to do that if they don't know where else to go. There might be some other meetup groups. I've seen a couple networking groups that are out there that are doing it. So I guess they could look online for who's networking, online. That would be another option to be able to do. That would be better than maybe going to just attending educational things, because they don't get a chance to meet anybody or whatever. I think even NABO's doing something now with like a virtual meetup. I saw some things about that. So there's a lot of things going on out there that they can take advantage of and just start building relationships with people.
Jan, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
My question is, how can professional medical billers market their product when most of the doctor's offices are closed and have a limitation of visitors? Example, you can't go out and you can't give brochures, you can't give cards because there's a limited visit that they can have in their office. How can you market your product?
And let me ask you, do you go straight to the doctors and line up working with them, or do you go through somebody else to get to those doctors? How do you get your clients right now?
Basically by going directly to the doctor, meeting with the office managers.
So walking right into the office managers.
Yes.
Okay. The thing that, if you know the doctor's offices that you want to get into, you can check around. I don't know how big your network is, but if you checked around and you've made a list of the doctors that you would like to meet, and they have time to talk right now because they're not in their offices to the degree that they were. And if you can find some people, and I don't know if you use LinkedIn too, but I know that if you went to LinkedIn, you can find some of those people and who's connected to them. And somebody like our organization, you just go ask. but whoever you know, I would make a list of the doctors that you would like to meet. And just while you're talking to people, you probably are, do you have some clients right now that you're checking on that you bill for?
Yes, I'm working on some, but right before the shutdown, I actually had potential clients, but now I can't get in and meet with them.
Is there a way that you can reach out by phone? Because I know a lot of them who wouldn't talk to you normally, you'd have to go through their office manager or whatever. They'll actually talk to you now. It's amazing. People
It's
have
just,
gotten
yes, with the crisis, and I mean, there's a definitely a need for billing.
right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they may be desperate for it, and your phone call might be just an opportunity. I would take a chance on that and just see if you made that list of who, and then find out as many people as you know. Just say, hey, do you have any connections with Dr. So-and-so? Or if you know the office manager of that person, see who you can find even on LinkedIn or whatever, and then just reach out because they may really welcome your call. If they're doing their own billing, they're going to welcome you. It's like, I can't do this anymore, right? So, and if you need to call me, if you feel free to email me and we can set up time. I'll see if I can explore other options for you to see if I can help you. If you want to take down my email,
I will. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, again, keep in mind that because we do have Jana is our expert. You do have access to her, and feel free to to email her on your networking questions. She's free with her time. She'll more than likely be very, very helpful to you. And again, we want to remind you any help that you need to the OBDC, you can contact us at 636-9300. And one of our business navigators is standing by to assist you in whatever you may need. So we got another minute or so. If anybody else wants to ask a question, I see someone unmuted. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I have an industry specific question. I am a hairstylist by trade, and a lot of my networking is done face to face and hand to hand.
Right.
I have been reaching out to my clients, but if you have any industry specific information for me in Memphis and the Shelby County area, it's a bit saturated, but the way I do business does set me apart. And I just want to know if you had any advice, any guidance, any wisdom as to how to proceed.
When you say you do business differently, could you explain that a little bit?
Well, I do a lot of social media marketing, a lot of flyers, and also business cards, lots of referrals. The majority of my business does come from referral. So I do keep a close-knit relationship with my clients as well. But as far as targeting new clients during this pandemic has been interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure. Have you reached out to your existing clients just to check on them? Have you given them a call?
Yes, ma'am. I try to reach out every 10 to 14 days.
Okay, good. Have you ever said to them, and this is kind of a funny question in a way, but it really is true. Have you ever said to them, do you know anyone else who could use my service? Sometimes
I haven't. Oh,
are
sorry.
for business, right?
Yes, ma'am. I have in the past, but I have not asked them during the
And
past
it's
couple of
amazing
months.
how many times we forget to do that. And we don't just say, hey, your friends and family, anybody. You have to say it a certain way. But you can when you're talking to them, especially after you've made sure that they're okay and that you can help them in any other way. And it's always good to just throw this in. When you develop a network of people that you start doing business with, wherever it is, keep hold of those people, because then you can reach out to your clients and say, I have other people that I could recommend to you. I want to be a resource for you. Your clients value that. And so you might say, Susie, I've got a bunch of different clients I could reach out. What do you need? And if you show that interest and then you go, And of course, I'd love anybody that you think might need my type of service. You know what I do and that kind of thing. It is amazing. Sometimes they go, yeah, I do know somebody. You just never asked, right? And it's funny. We think they should do it. It's kind of back to that friends, family, and whatever. We think because they know what we do, they'll refer us. That's not true. They don't. They don't think of it that way. So try that too. See if it
Yes,
helps.
ma'am, I will do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, we want to thank everybody for joining us today. I know, Jana, thanks for taking your time today. And this is an important topic, you know, because businesses are just going to have to do their business in a different way. You know, it's just not going to be exactly the same as it was. You're just going to have to expand and think about things differently. And I think this topic is so important right now as people are rebuilding their businesses and getting back out there and trying to expand and regrow their networks. And so thank you so much for being a part of this today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, too, for coming. I know you got lots to do, so.
And absolutely, and we'll let everybody know. We'll send the replay out. It will be available, so you can go back, because I think Jana shared some important information today and some really timely things that you could be doing. You'll be able to go back and check those things out. So again, thanks so much for joining us. And we do at OBDC. We'll have other workshops available towards the end of the month, so stay tuned for that. And again, thanks again for Jana for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.